Good Wednesday morning to you. As we continue the theme this week, Jesus, the King we least expect, not to recruit soldiers, but to gather his sheep. I was thinking about those two words that are part of our title, not to recruit, but to gather. Tonight, our focus in worship is on the Gospel of John, the 10th chapter. And this is that beautiful passage that we love. It has two of Jesus's 7 I am statements, right? Jesus begins in chapter 10. He says, "Very truly I tell you, anyone who does not enter the sheepfold by the gate, but climbs in by another way is a thief and a bandit." Jesus will compare himself to the gatekeeper. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep hear his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. There's a sense of protection, right? The gate is a protective device. In ancient times, they would build these rudimentary fences, and that would be the sheep's fold, and the gate that would house the sheep. It didn't have to be a substantial structure. All it had to do was have a door. If the door was closed, the sheep stayed in, but if the door were open, the sheep could easily wander out. If you've ever been to Israel, on the side of the Mount of Olives in the Garden of Gethsemane, there's a 2,000 plus year old olive tree that they have gated off. You can't go near it, you can't touch it. What's kind of interesting about that is if you walk down the path the other way, it's an Israeli national forest, and you have comparable size and likely comparable age trees that you can touch and sit under and smell the leaves, and those are not gated off. The one that's gated off is the one that that the ancient church has believed to be the one Jesus sat under as he had his moment of depravity in the Garden of Gethsemane. I think about those words, recruit and gather. The same is true for the importance of those words is just as true with what Jesus says. He is the gate. He is the gatekeeper. And Jesus chooses his words carefully to create imagery, to create a response that is different than the response we might create on our own. So often, I think we imagine faith to be, a rally, to champion, to take up, gird up our loins and go into battle of evil in this world. And I think that's an aspect of faith. But today and this week, in this Lenten journey, God is calling us to reframe and to open up our understanding. Part of faith is fighting the war against evil. And yet part of faith is simply being gathered by the one who protects us, gathered by the one who keeps us together and keeps us solid so that he can fight the war against evil, so that he can be the one who is out there protecting us as he fights. And Jesus continues in verse 7, "Very truly I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who come before me are thieves and bandits, but the sheep do not listen to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters by me will be saved and will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I came that they might have life and have it abundantly." On this Wednesday, as you prepare for Lenten worship, whether you gather in person or online, as you ponder that reality that Jesus is the King who doesn't recruit but gathers, where do you find yourself in your own faith journey? Are you championing a cause and charging ahead, maybe even a little bit farther ahead than God has led you to go? Or are you following the one? Are you entering into his sheepfold? Are you entering into his community? A community that is about abundance, it is about protection, it's about thriving together. See, that's kind of the important part of Jesus being the gate as well, because he reminds us this, a gate is not to keep us cloistered together, to protect us so that we aren't part of the world. No, the gate actually invites us to a part of the world that is more beautiful than what is on the outside. The gate protects us and invites us into an aspect of life that we can only experience through faith. There's something quite beautiful in that. It's lush, right? The imagery is abundance. It's having more than we could ever imagine. The psalmist will use the same designation for the great shepherd to say he leads us beside green pastures and still waters. I don't know about you, but if you go hiking at this time of year, the waters are anything but still. As the mountain rain, as snow melts and the rain comes, the waters are rushing and they are violent. But Jesus, our good shepherd, actually leads us to a place of still waters, of calmness, of peacefulness. It's not something that this world can give, right? Jesus will remind his disciples before his crucifixion that peace I give to you, Jesus will remind his disciples after his crucifixion in the midst of his resurrection. He will say, peace I give to you, peace I leave with you. I do not give it as the world gives. This is the only thing that comes from me. The reality is in our life that we cannot experience the fullness of God unless we enter through. There's a submission, there is a designation that we are gathered. We don't recruit, we aren't members with our jackets stamped, we aren't card-carrying activists. We are gathered by the one who came into this world to redeem us, to care for us, to show us a new way, a way that comes only through him. As you think about this Wednesday and you ponder your own faith and where you sit in the invitation God has given to you, I invite you to sit with these passages. In John 10, verses 1 through 18, listen to how Jesus opens up maybe a new understanding or a different understanding than we might daily live into. Tonight is worship. We have soup at 6 and service at 7. We continue this theme. We continue to unfold what it means for us in our own faith life. As Jesus taught the disciples, so he invites us to follow him. Have a great day.